Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss one of our topic from our paper 2 syllabus, that is international relations. Here now what makes this topic a dynamic topic, that international relations are analyzed or understood from different perspective from different nations. So in political science discipline, it is one of the youngest discipline. Public administration is there, comparative politics is there, analytical approach is there, and then international relation as a subject or as a sub-discipline of political science is very new, or what we can say, it is youngest of all the disciplines of political science. Okay, so its first year has been established in University of Wales in 1919. So it was only in 20th century that systematic study of international relations started. So the question comes, was there no international relations before 1919? The answer is no. There was international relations even before 1919, or even during the time of ancient period as well. But at that particular point of time, the study was not that much systematic. The study was not proper. The study was not in a proper continuous form, so we cannot recognize it as international relation, and hence we call it as a youngest discipline. ऐसा नहीं था कि relations नहीं थे. We have heard about Indus Valley's relations with Mesopotamian civilization, Egyptian civilizations. Great Roman Empire had relations with our Chola Chera Pandya kingdoms. So that means relations were there, but they cannot be considered as international relations. They were called as bilateral relations. So international relations as a subject, as a discipline, is youngest among all, and it started in 1919. So IR was present. International relations was present even before 1919, but the model was different. And what was the model? That the model was a Westphalian model. Westphalian model established after Treaty of Westphalia 1648. If you have idea about world history, Treaty of Westphalia ended the 30 years war in Europe, and that 30-year war in Europe ended the Tsar, the Roman Empire's control over European nations, or what we can say in simple words, nation states were created or recognized after Treaty of Westphalia. That means every single nation will be having independent policy of its own. Not only independent policy of its own, but it will also have independent foreign relations of its own. So in that way, what we say, 1648 was the year when nation states came into existence. Yeah. And after the establishment of this Westphalian model of international relations, entire politics or entire international relation became Eurocentric. Why? Because nation states emerged in Europe. Clear? And when nation states emerged in Europe, politics of world was dominated by European nations. Thirdly, before 1919, America was there. In the 18th century, it came into existence as an independent nation, but under Monroe Doctrine, it followed the policy of isolationism. Isolationism means America has nothing to do with world politics, nothing to do with the politics of Europe. America kept itself isolated from the politics of Europe, so that was the policy of isolationism. And rest of the world, apart from America, rest of the world were colonies of European nations, Britain, France, Portugal, Spain. They were colonies of these nations. So whatever is being decided by European nations, the rest of the world followed it. So Westphalian model was essentially Eurocentric in nature. It was Eurocentrism. And what is Eurocentrism? That all the relations, all the international policies were based or determined on the basis of Europe only. Clear? So that is what the international relations before 1919. Right? Now, coming into the picture of Westphalian world order, what it was. So the Westphalian model, which started in 1648, continued till 1919, had certain characteristics of its own. And those characteristics, which we have discussed as well, is politics of European nation, as we have discussed before. It is entirely based on the politics of European nations, dominated by some great powers. Here, remember, I'm not saying superpower, I'm saying great powers. Great powers which included Britain, France, Austro-Hungarian Empire, Tsarist Russia. So they were called as great powers. Here, and it was based on balance of power system. Now let me explain what is this balance of power. For example, there are four or five great powers in this European nation, here in this world. Yeah, one is Britain, another is France, Austro-Hungarian Empire, Russia, Roman Empire, or the Italian Empire. So they are for on a given year. If Britain, Austro-Hungarian Empire sided together, this weakened the position of Russia. So what this great power France did, willingly or unwillingly, it came together with Russia. So maintaining that balance of power. Clear? Similarly, on some time, if Britain and France come together, automatically these two or three will come together so that a balance of power will be maintained. So the Westphalian world order was all about maintaining that balance of power. However, in this balance of power, what used to be the practice that this particular nation is friend of none. कोई permanent friend नहीं है. At a given point, it might befriend this particular nation, at some other it will befriend this nation, it will befriend some other nation at some other point. So there is no permanent friend, no permanent enemy. Every single nation will follow the policy as per the requirements. Yeah, and if they had a relation with this, it will affect this, it will affect this. Or if Britain wages a war with this particular nation, just in case, if Britain wages war against this nation, what will happen? It will affect this, it will affect this. As you have played the billiards game, where once you hit a ball with a white ball, the ball travels, hits some other ball, and affects every single ball or many balls on the board. So that's why this Westphalian world order is called as West billiards ball model. Here, so in this way, when nothing was permanent, every state is having war with one another or trying to balance the power of one another. It created a state of anarchy. Various wars has been fought. Clear, if you read history, you will go into detail of all those wars, that how European wars changed the course of world politics during this particular time. So that was the characteristic of Westphalian world order. Now moving ahead, in the second phase of international relation, that is interwar period. You all know that First World War started from 1914, ended in 1918. 1919 was the concluding treaties year. Then Second World War started in 1939, ended in 1945. So this was the time period of war. So interwar period. Interwar period's characteristic mainly it was a League of Nations which has been created, a universal actor. A universal actor has been created which we'll look into. Now, in this billiards ball, what we have seen, every single nation is playing its game independently. But here in universal actor, this universal actor League of Nations will try to control other things. Clear? Secondly, it focused on Secondly, it focused on collective security rather than balance of power, which we have seen is created a state of anarchy. So now we will talk about collective security, where every single nation will try to collectively secure the peace. Clear? However, the system failed. Why it failed? The universal actor system, because the one who proposed it, United States of America, didn't join it, and Britain and France was not having any such motivation to keep League of Nations working. So in that case, it was very clear that it will fail. Clear, and this resulted into creation of various alliances, counter alliances, and led to Second World War. That is what interwar period, or in this period, the greatest characteristic of this period is coming of a new school of international relation that is called as realist school. Now, this realist school of international relation believed what is real picture of the world and how on the basis of it policies needs to be decided. So that is what second phase. Coming to third phase, it is a phase of Cold War. Here, Cold War, which started from 1945, continued till 1990. So it was a dominance of two superpowers. I am saying superpowers here. Yeah, two superpowers were there. One was led by United States of America, another was led by Soviet Russia. Yeah, so it was domination of two superpowers against one another. Yeah. Now, second thing, that balance of power has been replaced by nuclear deterrence. Nuclear deterrence means where every single nation or the superpowers were having nuclear capabilities and they are trying to restrict the other nations to attack. That I am having nuclear weapon, you cannot attack me. If you attack me, I'll attack with nuke. Yeah, so that was a nuclear deterrence. So balance of powers concept has been replaced with nuclear deterrence. Here, universal actor that is United Nations continued. Clear, but definitely as Cold War was going on, United Nations was also under the influence of Cold War. Clear, but in this particular period, that is the period from 1945 to 1919, IR became truly international. Why? Because so many nations emerged and so many new paradigms, new approaches, or new factors started influencing the international relations. So IR became truly international during this particular phase. Last